Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Decommunity podcast. I'm Roy Bernheim, one of the co-founders of e-commerce, bringing you the inside scoop of everything brands, community, and innovation. And today is a special day, as Sam will tell you. And it's special for me because Sam Diamond is here on the podcast, and she's one of the founders of Bird&Be. And Sam will share with us, I guess, a bit later also why it's a special day for her. Welcome, Sam. I'd love for you to introduce yourself.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for the intro. As you mentioned, I'm one of the co-founders at Bird&Be. I have a long history of suffering the problems that we are solving, as do the rest of my team. And before Bird&Be, I co-founded another company in the PR and marketing space where I learned a lot about what people are expecting, both from brands and both from the community around brands. And I've taken that learning as well as my own personal experience into building this company here today. And every day we spend all of our time helping to grow families and help folks access care faster with our at-home testing and our clinical supplements. And we're here to accompany every person on their path to and through pregnancy. And I'm so thrilled to be here to talk about it.
It's such a big cause, and you jumped right into the matter. And I'd love to ask you the word that you already picked up on, community. What community means to you?
For me, community is my village. And I think that at each stage of our lives, we might need a different kind of village, but we always do need our village. We're humans. We've always needed villages since the dawn of time. I think our village has shifted. Sometimes it's an online village. Sometimes it's an in-person village. I know for myself, my village has shifted over the course of every stage of my life, especially through growing my family, where at certain times this physical village around me has jumped into support with my kids. There was an online village when I was going through my fertility journey, but not one as big as the one there is today, which I'm thrilled for because there's a lot of folks who are struggling and who really need that support of the people who are going through what they're going through.
Wow. So really bridging from the very personal into the day-to-day, even business side of things. And I love how you brought up the human factor. And there, if we can go back to that moment when you shared how you were involved, and now even in a much bigger way, but I want to go back to when you started to be involved in this online community and you started to get into that space. How was that like? What did you find?
When I speak about it from a personal perspective in terms of where I was with my own fertility journey, and I know the same goes for my co-founders and my team, all members of my team who've gone through some element of a fertility journey, a lot of the initial investigation and education, and this is proven statistically as well, it happens online and it happens through friends and family as well. And we as a society, this was published in a journal, I think 2 years ago, we as a society are asking all of our questions up from our online Facebook groups and sort of subreddits. And we're also asking the people in our lives who we trust the most. And we're asking them about how they went about their journey, how they solved their problems, who they saw, what they tried, what they know. And at the beginning, we ask almost in a very hushed way, especially when it comes to fertility. And depending on what somebody is struggling with, there's certain areas of infertility that are more stigmatized than others. We call it a whisper network, where people are asking questions of either anonymously or online or through their most trusted real life contacts. And then as we start to find more people in our village and in our community, some of us are brave enough to share and reflect our own journeys to the others who might not be quite there yet, but who are being validated by seeing what somebody else is going through and how that is similar to them.
Wow, so it's a very sensitive topic, right? And when you started in 2021, so how was it before then?
So before then, in my own journey, there was a small community, but it was a quiet one. There were not TikTok influencers and major fertility doctors on these massive social platforms bringing attention to what was going on. They were small. It was really like Facebook groups at the time, and they were kind of like sub-Facebook groups of people who were trying to conceive, or Facebook groups for people who were either already pregnant or for new parents. And within those groups, people were asking questions, often anonymously, sometimes not, about which doctor did you see? What protocol did you get? What did you do for your PCOS? What supplements did you take? Asking the questions that we're also asking on Dr. Google. And that was really what existed at the time. I personally, on my own journey, I went through pregnancy loss, and I know that this is a very, very common thing. I know statistically how common it is. 1 in 4 pregnancies end in loss. That's not 1 in 4 people. That's 1 in 4 pregnancies end in loss. It's extremely, extremely common. But it is one subject that isn't talked about a lot offline. So I went through it, and I knew of some people who had gone through it, but it was kind of something that I knew about in passing, and nobody had really opened up about it. And I didn't feel like I had a human community to ask questions and share my experiences with. And I turned to sort of Dr. Google and perhaps some subreddits at the time to sort of ask some of my questions or understand what to expect next. And I didn't have a place online that I felt gave me enough real scientific information in a way that I could digest. And that was a catalyst for sure. That experience was a catalyst for me to make sure that other people who were going through this kind of loss and sort of trauma on their journey felt like there was somewhere for them to go.
And I'd love to talk about that moment where, if we zoom in a little bit on, you were having this experience where you were in this situation trying to find out how to go about this and trying to seek advice from other people, and share a bit more about how this went from, I'm going through this myself, to I want to do something about this.
Yeah. So at the time, I was still running my agency, and my agency was focused in the beauty space. So we had a number of different beauty brands that we were working with that were really popular. You'd walk into any pharmacy or drugstore, department store, you see them everywhere. And these were brand-centric companies. And I was living this work life in the marketing space, and I was going through my journey of pregnancy loss and fertility issues. And it was taking me a while to get pregnant again after my miscarriage. I would be going every couple weeks to the drugstore, and I would be picking up my vitamins, my tests. I was also seeing a fertility naturopath by recommendation through my fertility doctor, who had given me an additional sort of huge Word document of supplements that I was supposed to be taking. And I was cobbling together, kind of like we call it baking my own cake, of a couple bottles from here, a couple bottles from there, trying to figure it all out. And one of the things I noticed with my brand hat on was that the packaging, just the straight up box packaging and bottles, they all had pictures of pregnant women on it or women holding babies. And I just felt like that was an unnecessary trigger for somebody who was struggling. And that was kind of one of the first inklings of an idea where, how can we make this experience better for people? And how can we make this experience more of a realistic reflection of what the modern fertility journey looks like? And I was suffering the user experience with all the supplement bottles, and also struggling to find a place where all of this information could intersect. Like, how can I get the information from the fertility doctor and the fertility naturopath in one place that makes sense to me as a consumer who's not a doctor? And this was kind of the beginning of, if I'm going through this, there's certainly people who have extended struggles and who have had terrible and intense experiences in this space. And I know that infertility impacts 1 in 6. So if I was dealing with this, there's certainly a massive community out there who was struggling and feeling similarly. And that's where we kind of got started.
I love that. So this was really where the idea started coming up and becoming more real or tangible. And what then gave you the confidence to say, yes, we're going to do this?
I think all entrepreneurs are a little bit crazy, to be honest. I had already taken the plunge with my first business, so I already had experienced that step off the ledge where you're going to fly or you're going to fall, and you're going to figure out that there's always an in-between. There's a little bit of both. And I derive joy from feelings of gratitude, and I get my feelings of gratitude from challenging myself. So when I accomplish something, whether it's in business or at the gym, that's where I derive that gratitude, and then that translates into joy for me. So for me, this was also, it was a passion project where I'm creating something that's going to help other people, but also it's filling my own cup personally.
Still, it could have been so many different things, right? And
Right.
you as a serial entrepreneur, I mean, you know also how hard it can be, and mostly is, to start a business. So was there something, or were there maybe different things that made this for you, like gave you that confirmation that you want to do this? Maybe not that that it's gonna work, but that you're gonna do this.
I really felt the pull to creating something that was extraordinarily meaningful. And I had a lot of fun in my first business and, have some crazy stories for another day. But I felt this pull towards really creating something that had such deep meaning and to help people on the path to growing their families. Like, I'm not sure what else could have really a more meaningful direction than that. And again, I truly felt that there was this missing piece in the market where this Eastern meets Western medicine needed to be connected. The user experience for the at-home piece of the fertility journey needed to be made easier. And like, how can we create something for this very diverse community of people who are going through various fertility issues? How can we create something that everybody needs? And that's kind of where we got going. And through our connection to our medical team, who've now been on board with us since the beginning and who have all experienced their own infertility issues, even though they work in the infertility space, doesn't protect them from going through this journey on their ends too. Their innovation, the science, and the product development that they brought to our company, I mean, it's invaluable. What they've suggested has been what they've wanted their patients to be doing since the beginning of their careers. So it's so meaningful to be able to actually bring this together as a team to a community of people who really need it.
And I can also see how so passionate and committed you are to this. And it is such a big topic. And there, I also feel like because you were going through this and you also were engaging with so many people beforehand, it feels like you were also seeing that other people were facing the same challenges. Is that fair to say?
For sure. And once we started developing the concept for this brand and products and we started building the company, every single person we spoke to began to share what they had gone through. So from our first cardboard box supplier to many investors we spoke to along the way, obviously our customers have their own stories, but really like vendors, manufacturers, our third-party logistics shipping company, every single person we speak to has some tie to this experience. And once you put, this is what I learned, once you put the topic out there, people are more willing to share and they need it. They need to share because they haven't necessarily had the opportunity to bring anyone from their personal community into what they're going through. And the minute you start talking about it, they want to share too. They need to share.
And can you share a bit more how they share and where they share at the moment?
I mean, it's been on calls where we're talking about the size of the box we need, and then they tell us all about their issues with sperm. And we have lots of suppliers that are customers as well. They're ordering our products. We work with a number of fertility clinics as well. Their doctors and their nurses and their admin staff are also our customers. They're recommending product to their patient and they're taking product themselves because they're obviously seeing how well it works, but then they're also having the benefit of the user experience that we've created. So it's not just about what's inside the packages, but it's about how it's packaged and how it's presented and how we've made the journey a little bit easier. Again, from box design, making this less clinical and more of a CPG style brand where people can leave out the box on their counter so that they remember to take their capsules because it's a cute little box, to, making these travel friendly packets so they can take it with them and have it after lunch. We see everybody, again, sharing their own journey. One of my son's teachers at our parent-teacher interview last year said, "Oh, I saw your email. You work for Bird&Be. I'm taking Bird&Be." There was no connection there. So it's just kind of coming up in all these various ways, and it's so beautiful to see, and it's just so validating.
That must be fueling that ignition that you had at the beginning to be like this huge impact that you're bringing into the market, what you've built. And you mentioned that today, I mean, maybe fast forward to today a little bit.
Yes.
So what happened today?
Today was a big day at Bird&Be. We formally announced the results of our first clinical study. We studied our Powers for Males plus CoQ10 Boost product in a clinical setting. We partnered with a fertility clinic who identified male factor infertility patients through an in-clinic semen analysis. They took 3 months of our product. They were retested at the same andrology lab in the clinic after 3 months. And overall, the average improvement in progressive sperm motility was 52.2%, which took the patients from abnormal to normal. Absolutely incredible from such a low-level intervention. It's an oral combination of prenatal vitamins, antioxidants, DHA. All the male patients had to do was take this daily for 3 months. That's all they were asked to do. And they saw such an incredible improvement in their sperm health. And we're so thrilled for the patients. And then we're thrilled for the clinics because this makes their outcomes more optimal. And we're thrilled for our team. We're thrilled for our medical team who were the ones who developed this formula based on existing academic research. Now we've been able to tie this up and showcase the results in a clinical study on the finished product. So it's a huge day. It's a huge announcement. We are continuing. We have 3 more studies in progress right now. So we're continuing to do the hard work. We're continuing to make improvements and contributions to the industry as well. And it's just, it's mind blowing knowing where we were 3 years ago and where we are today. It's a happy day.
That is incredible. Those results in 3 months, you said?
3 months, yes.
That's incredible. So really, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And why did you focus on the male side for this study?
It's a great question. So the scientific reason we focused on the males is because sperm are easier to study than eggs. So if we were to go through a similar process with females and thinking about egg quality, to get eggs out of the female to actually study, put under a microscope and assess, which is a whole other topic of how that process doesn't really exist except for one software program out there. It's a surgery. So they need to go through a surgical procedure, and leading up to that surgery, there's a ton of hormones involved. It's very invasive and it's very, very expensive. And so you would need to do a lot of prep, a lot of invasive procedures to get that first cohort of eggs out, and then a course of antioxidants and do the second. And it also becomes an issue of how you kind of control things. So that is a huge, massive undertaking. Whereas sperm, it is a much easier process to get sperm out of the body. It is often a pleasurable experience to get sperm out of the body. It is quick, it is painless, and it is less expensive. Analyze the sperm, and there are more validated ways that clinics are already using to assess sperm quality. And you can track these parameters very specifically and numerically. And so this is where we started. A lot of the same rules apply when it comes to the health of the sperm and the health of the egg in terms of energy production and DNA protection. But this was like the perfect way for us to study in kind of a method that was appropriate for our stage as a company and the team that we had available to do the study. And in sort of the non-scientific and more kind of cultural reasoning behind the decision to start with sperm, male factor infertility is still pretty stigmatized. And statistically, it's contributing to up to 50% of infertility cases, but we still are not talking about the sperm and their health 50% of the time, that's for sure. And men don't necessarily know that they need to be on prenatal vitamins the same way that females are on prenatal vitamins. The health of the sperm is being increasingly studied in terms of its impact on the health of the embryo, the health of the future child. There's a lot of issues that are, again, being newly studied that are correlated to the age of the male, as well as how that impacts certain conditions like autism. These are all kind of newer studies, newer research, but it is gaining in popularity in terms of how we speak about the sperm and how we speak about the male partner. And we really need to translate that into how we speak about male fertility as a society. It's a very interesting dynamic because male infertility is, I invite someone to prove me wrong on this, but I think it's the only disease where the impacted person's partner is the one treated. So if somebody has male factor infertility, it is generally speaking, the burden of the treatment is on the female partner if it's a heterosexual couple. It's still the female partner who's going to go through the hormones and injections and ultrasounds and retrieval and transfer procedures and ultimately carry the pregnancy and give birth. So the majority of that treatment for the male factor infertility is still carried by the female partner. So it's very important to involve the males in this conversation and to really share the experience and the journey of optimizing their sperm health the same way that we are optimizing as females our egg health and our bodies for pregnancy.
That's a super interesting dynamic. And now that you put it so clearly, it makes a lot of sense. And it's something that definitely needs more awareness. And when we turn that back into the community setting, so where people talk about their issues, fertility issues, what do you see there? Is it also basically more women discussing it? Or what kind of dynamic do you see in there? Or is it couples together?
I still see online it being skewed to the female. So I still see more females online talking about it. I know that there's a lot of fertility clinics who have put into place specific programs for their male patients. I know that there's a lot of clinicians who are recommending group therapy, individual therapy, not just for the couple, but also for the males, because there's, again, a lot of males go through this process and feel extreme guilt that, again, they're contributing to the problem, but the burden is on their partner. And although these feelings of guilt are there, whether or not they're right or wrong, that's, how people are feeling. And so I know that it's being encouraged more to connect with community, whether it's online, through Zoom, through in-person groups. But I still see a lot of the online forums, chat groups, influencers being focused on the female and how they are working with their partners to improve sperm health or to solve the problem that exists or the reason behind their infertility diagnosis. And I would love to see more men out there connecting on it. I do see in our customer mix, about 30% of our customers are male. So I know that they are involved. I know that they're taking the products. I know that they are purchasing products and that they are involved. And I hope there can be more males out there talking about it so that it becomes less and less and less stigmatized and we can be proactive about sperm health.
And that also leads me a little bit more to this glance into the future. And if we take today and then look a bit into what's to come, where do you see community, and now also with Bird&Be, where do you see you shaping that more or having that conversation with couples, with the different parts? How do you see that going forward?
I read something interesting by Christina Farr, who is a journalist and an investor in the femtech space. And she talked about the fact that people are identifying with their community more than they identify with their specific medical condition. So, and a lot of the times people have more than one condition, especially in the fertility space. They might be struggling with PCOS and issues with weight, obesity, egg quality, and they're all kind of interrelated. And so instead of focusing specifically on conditions, we're focusing more on infertility as kind of a banner, but it's about the community of people who are experiencing something related to infertility on their journey. And the focus becomes more on the community and their user experience and the experience of the customer and the community versus the specific condition or the product itself. So we still want to make excellent products with tons of research to support it, but we want to spend a lot of time focusing on that experience of the person who is using the product. So again, to put it even more simply, we're focusing on what's in here, but we're also focusing on the package of all of it, how we deliver it, how we speak to our customers, how we educate our customers, the doctors that we're working with, and the platforms that we're able to partner on and offer new and exciting insights in the industry. I hope that we continue to offer a community of people online the shared experience of using our products. I can see it. I can see it on many feeds when people tag us on their pregnancy test line progressions, and you see all of these people on the TikTok or Instagram posts commenting their hopeful vibes and their hearts and their holding our breath for you and all of this encouragement for a complete stranger, and how that must make that person feel that they have all these people behind them supporting them. I mean, it's incredible that our product is a part of that. And that's where we're going to continue to focus.
Yeah, I mean, this together with how you're shaping the narrative. So, like you say, I can really see how you're not just selling a product, like this product, sell it, but you're really contributing with studies, with research to a topic that's been, what it sounds like, really understudied and under talked about. So, being there to shape that narrative and inviting people to join in, that's really a beautiful way to do that. So, at the moment, where does this happen? Is this social? Where can people find you?
Well, people can find us obviously on our website, bird&be.com. We are on all the social platforms, and we primarily put out education on our social platforms, mixed with a little bit of fun because, infertility, it can be a really dark time. So we try to find a moment to smile or to laugh a little bit at ourselves on the journey, because you got to pepper it with a little bit of levity at times where you can. A good meme makes you smile. But we do work with a ton of incredibly talented practitioners and experts in all different verticals within the fertility space. So from reproductive endocrinologists to naturopathic doctors to physiotherapists, psychotherapists, yoga instructors, embryologists, nurses. We work with all of these different experts to bring information and their perspective to our community online. We host TikTok lives and Instagram lives where people can just ask questions. Our TikTok lives are one of the most popular platforms where our community comes together, because not everybody has access to doctors and to care, and they have so many questions that are unanswered. And so they're popping on and just adding tons of Q&A to our feed, and our doctors do our best to answer as much as they can in their half an hour little segments. But we see the need for it, and we know that there's a problem with access to care, and we're trying our best through our products, services, and education to help people figure out early on that they need to get care so that they're not waiting until it's too late. And again, to help connect people into clinics, we do that too. If somebody needs to find a clinic or they don't know which clinic to go to or what's close by to them geographically speaking, we can actually connect them in, refer them into clinic as well, make sure that they can get the care that they need. We deliver products all over Canada and the US into the most remote areas, including army bases around the world. So we're there for that access to care too.
Wow. And I think one last question is, when they share that online, what comes up for me is like, it's such a private topic almost. And when I share it on a platform, I would not know who else gets this information. Do you feel like this holds people back, or they don't really care about that topic?
I think that that's maybe personality dependent, because we've got people who pop on who ask really personal questions, which sometimes we can't answer because we can't give medical advice. We can give general information, but we'll have people popping on there or into our customer care inbox saying, I have 4 embryos and the clinic said this, and I'm wondering about this and this and this. And, that gets really specific. And then we have a lot of people asking general questions where tons of others can benefit from it. So what do you suggest for somebody who's been struggling with PCOS and isn't getting their menstrual cycle? We can answer those kinds of questions. So we've got customers and community members from both ends of the spectrum who ask things publicly, who ask things privately, who might just be surfing our blogs and reading. We're getting hundreds of thousands of people coming to our articles on our blog. They're written by doctors, and they're coming to read the information, and they're coming to learn about the science and hopefully improve their journey and their care experience as a result.
Great. And then, so I'm really excited to see what comes out also of today's release then. I'm going to follow that really closely. Have you already gotten reactions?
I've been in meetings all morning, so I haven't actually gotten to enjoy the reactions yet, but I'm excited to dive in later tonight. We've got a lot of information up on our website. I'm excited to see what's coming in through our customer care inbox, what's coming in through our emails. We're so excited to share the information at some upcoming conferences with different clinics. I'm excited for customers to know that what they're doing is validated in a clinical study, and to know that they're taking really good care and doing everything that they possibly can to improve their outcomes and improve their health.
I'm excited for you. Thank you so much, Sam,
for
all the insights of your exciting journey. Really, thanks so much. Hope to speak really soon.
Thank you for having me.